Tell us about your background. How did you arrive at your current work?
I got into agriculture since 2003 or 4. I'm pretty into the subjects of sustainability, and I worried with the climate crisis. So 1970 were when my grandfather bought this farm, and so it's 50 years this year. In 2008, my father, who owns the farm right now, he asked me to see what we can do in the farm, see if it was only like conventional agriculture, and see what we can do better in the farm as a business. And I had already this interest in organic agriculture, actually in organics, in eating organic. Then it was obvious that organic agriculture was something that was really important to change the way we're farming. At that stage, we didn't talk much about regenerative agriculture. It was more like organic agriculture and sustainable agriculture. That's what starts my journey on agriculture and my close relationship with the land, and was a big journey for me. In 2010, I decided to move to the farm, where I lived for 7 years on this house that I am now. It was a very nice journey because I started to have this closer relationship with nature, and understanding the way nature works and systemically operates was very important for me to understand the kind of agriculture that makes sense for me. At that stage, we didn't have much in the farm. We have like a conventional citrus production, especially on the part of tropical fruits. We start to understand much the way nature operates. And for me, it was pretty clear that doesn't make any sense of like fighting with nature and try to dominate nature. On this journey, for me, it was very clear that, if we can team up with nature and do a collaborative cooperation with nature, the results are much better. And you get into the flow of nature, and both the regeneration and the results are much higher and much incredible. In the tropical fruits, especially in limes, that what we have most here now, we developed these agroforest systems, that is systems that kind of mimic nature and mimic tropical forests, and that's working really, really well. And it's very nice to see what we create here, and we create really food forest that's very productive, and it's almost zero outside input. So it's very, very nice to see that it really can work together in nature and understands the way nature works and replicate to production systems. It's a big challenge because not many people are doing it, and it's mostly the people that are doing in a small scale. We have the challenge to do in large scale, and this is what I'm concentrated right now.
When did you make a personal shift to a new form of agriculture?
For me, it was not really a click or a moment, especially. It was more living closely to nature. It's what make me understand it most. And we've been very fortunate because we have very interesting and very talented people working with us. For 2.5 years, we had someone called Ernest Kutch here in the farm, inspiring us and doing consultant business on agroforestry. My guy that started as a consultant, it's called Osvaldo. This guy he has the whole life work with organic agriculture, and he's our technical director right now. And all these people that worked with us, I can name mainly a lot of people that worked with us and still in our team or worked as consultants and still inspiring us. This actually helped me to make this view of how nature works, and was pretty clear for me from the beginning that the conventional systems of really operates in a way of dominating and kind of sterilize nature. Like, for example, if you take in a conventional citrus production, you pass the insecticide to kill all the insects, the fungicide to kill the fungus, then herbicide to kill the herbs, and so all these sides, it's actually sterilized, and it sterilized nature, and it sterilized the good and the bad things. For me, it doesn't make any sense of like killing this all this fortune that we can have, and to create this really a lot of abundance, and if you operate together in nature. And but that's not obvious for everybody. The way of thinking of really control, and like a factory that you think in a control process, and a sterilized factory facility, that was easy. That's sometimes easier because you can create procedures that it's you can control everything. But the bad news, that doesn't work. And the diseases are getting worse, and you cannot control everything. Coming back to your question, it's for me, it was not really a moment. I was really aspiring for very nice people, but for me, I think the most important thing was really this journey of getting really close to nature and understand the way nature works. And by understanding that, it was much easier for me to actually create and thinking about how to create productive systems that it's pretty effective.
What are some of the successes and learnings for you and your organization?
It's a lot. I mean, we've been learning a lot, lots of learnings, and lots of insuccesses because again, there is not many people doing what we are doing, trying to do regenerative organic agriculture in large scale. When we started here in the farm, we have a very ambitious product. We had the whole process of agriculture production in large scale, regenerative organic, agroforestry, grain production for the chickens, and the whole cow process for milk, that it's very complex too. So at one stage, and that was a pretty important lesson, was to try to concentrate it and simplify things. And that was a very important decision because it makes us concentrate in what I think is the most important thing to unblock this whole thing, to create regenerative organic agriculture in larger scale. Since then, Fazenda da Toca, the results are it got much better. Since we had the decision that was 2000, to simplify, there was 2016, and now in 2020, we are almost 8 times bigger, only doing organic eggs. It's a very good business. We have almost 50% of the Brazilian market of organic eggs, so we grow quite a lot. Since we have this strategic decision, then I had to understand what we can do with the other things, since it was not really, for Fazenda da Toca, was not really strategic things like the fruit production, and also the grains was important for the eggs, but was not really the main business. So 2.5 years ago now, we decided to create a second company that is concentrated on expanding regenerative organic through Brazil, called Rizoma Agro. And I'm very fortunate to have a very good partner, the Fabio Sakamoto, that's running this company with me. And we deep dive in the agriculture in the world, actually. We went to see a lot of Brazilian agriculture, and went to US, Europe, Eastern Europe. We see a lot of things in agriculture. And then since we decide to operate in Brazil, and Rizoma Agro is really a company that our purpose is to regenerate. So the main purpose is to regenerate in large scale. In Brazil, there is this particularity of have very big farms, and these big farms operating as a good business and a very well operated business, but on conventional systems, it's very chemical intense, and we could see a lot of green deserts, lots of, and that worries me a lot, because it's going to a farm of 100,000 hectares. We visit one farm like this in Amazon biome and don't see one bird. It's a worry. So we decided we want to try to create a solution for this kind of farms, and that maybe there is a way to do this. But the market is it's not so obvious on that, so we decided to start on grains. And this is what we're doing right now. We have 2 farms already operating on producing large-scale regenerative organic grains, mainly corn, soybeans, and all the pulses like chickpeas. We are on the second harvest, and we're very happy because the second harvest, we're already having the productivity similar and sometimes even higher than conventional. And we measure the carbon sequestration on our operations, and also measuring the regeneration biodiversity, and all this, even because there was a question mark if we could do a large scale operation in grains and regenerating biodiversity, and if we can do a large scale operation in grains and actually sequester carbon. And the answer is yes. We sequester carbon, increase 1.1 organic material on the fields that we are operating. That's a lot. That's 7 tons per hectare of carbon sequestration. And biodiversity also is growing a lot, since the biodiversity starts from the soil. And when you create live soil, you create a lot of biodiversity, and that's a kind of placenta of the planet. So all the life starts there. So when you bring life to the soil, you create a lot of life around it. Also we have this institute in Brazil that's called Imaflora, that we hire them to measure this, and the answer, yes, we're increasing a lot of biodiversity by doing regenerative organic in grains. So we're escalating that, and the way we choose to escalate is to partner, to create partnerships. So we create this protocol for productions with our 11 years of track record of doing R&D on regenerative organic agriculture. So we create a protocol that is working pretty well. So our model of partnerships is to come to the farmers. We do all the technical assistance. We do the commercial side and logistics for you, and we bring you to the final client. So we give a service, a full service of protocol, technical advice, logistics, that it has to be separate for regenerative organic, and also we have a commercial side, trade all the grains, and we don't buy from the client, from these farmers, but we bring them to the final client, so they have all the upside of with us. So we have 2 farms, big farms already operating. We can show that it actually works. So we bring it to these guys to our farms. In Brazil, we have 5 million farmers, bigger than 1,000 hectares. It's 51,000 farmers. So, and that's the big areas. So we decide to, especially because of the speed that we want to grow and to create this big network of farms, we decide to start with the big farmers. And these farmers are pretty good business guys, and they understand what we are trying to do, and they're gonna implement this in large scale with a lot of speed. So we we decide to operate with these guys and already start this network. Eventually, the second step, we're gonna do like a family farming and a smaller scale agriculture also. That's easier to do with regenerative organic agriculture for family farming and small scale, and that can be more diversified. But the speed of adoption of that will be slower.
Why do you think we are not seeing more large-scale regenerative projects in Brazil or in other countries?
That's a very good question. It's not so. I don't know. That's the right answer. But I think similar to like electric cars. Why didn't see many electric cars before Tesla exists? I think it was a question of someone go there and do a large-scale electric car facility and operate and create the infrastructure. And this is what we are doing. We're doing a large-scale infrastructure to these guys to jump in and do with us.
How do you respond to doubts about carbon sequestration or that regenerative organic agriculture can feed the world?
Very important questions, and you have them all the time. And the good thing that it can answer really well now that's we can feed the world with a regenerative organic agriculture. With the productions that the yields that we have this year, it's in corn we had higher yields than the conventional corn in the area that we are. We had areas with 180 bushels of corn per hectare, and that's huge. And that's only the second year of R&D that we are doing. We think that it's going to increase. Also, the cost of production that is being much higher before, and now it's only like 20% in corn, and we think that they're going to close this gap pretty fast. There is a center there in US called Rodale Institute, and Rodale Institute is doing this 30-year trial of conventional and organic side by side, and proving that the yields can be really similar, in sometimes even better. We can feed the world with regenerative organic, and with all the important side benefits of regenerative organic, all the really huge impacts of regenerative organic. In soil capture of CO2, that's very technical, and we have a partnership with Wageningen University of Netherlands. They are specialized on that, and they've been actually, it was before the pandemic, I think 2 months ago, we had Rachel, that's one of the lead top scientists from Wageningen, here with us in the farm for 2 days. And we have a huge workshop about soil carbon sequestration and the potential of soil carbon sequestration. And that's pretty complicated, but making it very simple is, it is a consensus that we can actually sequester a lot of carbon in soil. What is not really a consensus is the amount and the priority of that, and how stable is that. But there is a consensus that we can sequester a lot of carbon, and some of it is going to stay on ground. The amount we see here in the farm, and especially on perennials like the agroforest systems, we see like 50 tons per hectare. That's a lot. So the potential is enormous. Even if you take the worst numbers, it's still positive, it's still sequestered, it still has a great potential. I had to talk the other day in a meeting, was impact investing meeting, a big impact investing meeting in Rio de Janeiro. That was like, and I took the team and said, listen guys, take the amount of carbon that we sequestered only last year on our farm, and put that on the whole agriculture in the world. Let's see the numbers. And we come up to a number that I actually presented on this impact investing meeting in Rio, that it's, if we take our carbon sequestration in grains. That's not the biggest. In fruits we have much bigger, but in grains, only in grains, and put it into the whole agriculture in the world. You only need 20% of the agriculture in the world to actually sequester the whole human emissions per year. 20%. Only 20% of the agriculture will sequester the whole emissions of the humans. I mean, you can sign under this number. No, but the potential is enormous. That shows that the potential is enormous. That's the sequestration that we have on our farm.
What are the main opportunities and barriers in the world of finance for regenerative organic?
Challenge right now, and that's exactly our challenge right now, because we need capital to grow and to really to make Rizoma Agro to grow and to create this whole network. We have to do infrastructure for silos and after harvesting, logistics to create this network. So we need to invest. And we are in process since the end of last year to raise capital to do this. And with this big crisis right now, this process, it's a problem right now. So we working in different ways, smaller investments and reducing maybe the round and to see how we can accommodate. But this is a challenge. We talk with many impact investing funds, but I mean, it's things are a little bit stopped right now, and we see that we've been doing a lot of things to have a very strong case. We already have a company that is 50 plus employees and lots of R&D. We did a lot of research and also create a protocol of impact of carbon sequestration and biodiversity to really show our impact. The company is growing a lot. We create this way of doing this as an asset-light model with this partnership model. So everything is very well structured, but with this crisis, it probably will delay things. So that's our biggest challenge right now. That we already have some compromise to grow the company and to create this hubs of expansion to actually join this network of farmers.
In terms of true cost accounting, what are the opportunities or barriers for regenerative organic?
The only way really to capitalize these carbon credits right now still, I see for the future, hopefully that all the positive impact that we're going to create, we're going to be able to capitalize that in somehow. When our model is still putting like $5 per ton of carbon credit, that's pretty low still. But we think this is going to grow, and hopefully this is going to grow and actually going to help to finance this whole transition. So I hope that all these positive impacts that doesn't have much value right now, that they're going to acquire much more value fast, I hope. That probably we're going to really help a lot to finance these shifts that we really need.
Where do you see your work going in 5 years?
I hope that in 5 years that Rizoma Agro really expand and successful create this network and impact many hectares. We put a plan on our business plan. We put to impact 350,000 hectares in 10 years, and I hope we can achieve that in 5. I pretty worried with the social problems that this crisis is creating, and I think there is a huge opportunity of relocating from these big centers like São Paulo. Only in Brazil, we have like 13 million really living really under the poverty, so living in slangs, and 13 million people. So that worries me a lot. And these people are already starting to suffer a lot with the health issues of this pandemic. These people live really badly as an infrastructure and a very low income. And on the other side, we have only in Brazil, we have, this number is not really precise, but our average number is like 80 million hectares of degraded land. So in my rough calculations here, I mean, if it could give like more than 1 hectare per family, and relocate this 13 million people to this 80 million hectares that we have degraded land, that would be a fantastic project. And maybe in one day you're gonna do it. And that's, I think, it's something that really makes sense to these people that lives on these lands in São Paulo, especially, that I know this environment. I've been working on this environment, and I know pretty well it. And these people really relocate these people back to the land, because they are like kind of refugees from the land, because they didn't have like really an option, and they've been like escaping from a reality of not having much options on the rural area, but bringing back these people to a rural area with a clear way of really producing and regenerate the land. I mean, that's my dream project, and maybe I hope one day can achieve it. What is new is that try to do that in large scale. This what it's we trying to do, because that's again on the same example that I use as electric car. I think regenerative organic agriculture are going to be the same, and we need someone. And it's not only me, there is some other people doing it also in US, in Europe, but I think we have to do that in large scale to have a big adoptions and to change it, and it's gonna make a lot of sense for a lot of people, I hope. And this the change that I want to see for the next 5 years, I hope.